What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my public YouTube channel. If you're new, let me give you a little bit of an understanding of what I do here, okay? What I do here is I break down the occult sciences and I break them down to a very practical degree so that you can simply use them and apply them in your day-to-day life and get real, actual results with what it is that I am speaking about, okay? Simply by applying your observation and awareness. Very easy to do, okay? Welcome in for everyone who is a reoccurring viewer to my YouTube channel. I know there are a lot of you here. But once again, if you are someone who is new to my channel, let me also give you a perspective on who I am, just so that you know who you're getting this information from, because that is very important to understand, especially when we're talking about psychic self-development. Okay, my name is Jeremiah Schwartz. I am a professional occultist. I am fully initiated in the entirety of the Kabbalistic tree. I'm studied when it comes to the 22 major arcana of the tarot deck. Okay, and I'm also studied when it comes to planetary energies in direct association with astrology. Okay, so with all that being said, what exactly are we going to be talking about in our today's video? So this is going to be a very unique topic, okay? This is actually a topic that a lot of people are unaware of. This is a topic that I think has a huge influence in our today's time to a lot of people on our planet today, yet once again, it is misunderstood by most people, okay? This is deep, and even within the spiritual and the occult communities, there are the majority of people within these communities that are unaware of these this topic that I'm going to be speaking about. So specifically what I'm going to be covering is I'm going to be covering one of the planetary systems, or I should say one of the star systems that primarily holds some of the most negatively polarized entities that you and I could consider to be aliens, essentially, literally aliens, although we're all connected at the end of the day. But if we're talking about something that doesn't exist on our planet primarily, then we could also use the term alien. So this star system, specifically that I'm going to be speaking about in this video today, is a star system that once again holds some of the most negatively polarized entities within that star system. And specifically, this star system that I'm going to be speaking about for this video is one of the star systems that affects our planet in particularly. So basically what that means is that this star system of negatively polarized entities, which you could consider to be aliens that are negatively polarized, has a major effect on our planet Earth and within our, we could say, our solar system. Okay, so with that being said, if this is something you want to learn a little bit more about, once again, a lot of people don't know about this, then you have one thing to do, and that is to stay tuned for the rest of the video. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start by lighting one of my EMF incense sticks, electromagnetic frequency incense sticks. If you have yours at home, now is the time to light yours. Set the intention to increase my power in any way that needs to become manifest. I'm not going to put boundaries on it. Beautiful. Okay. And if you would like to get your hands on a 50-pack bundle of these EMF incense sticks or more, you can do so at the fourth link in the YouTube description. They are pre-packaged with energy created by myself. Okay? So, let's go into it. So, there is a star system that exists, and as there are many star systems, right? There are many star systems. But there is a specific star system that holds a grouping of alien entities that are negatively polarized that once again have a huge effect on our planet today. Okay? Now, I've discussed this before. I'll say it again. In regards to the majority of the different aliens and the different entities that exist truly within the universe, there are more so that are actually positively oriented. A lot of them, and actually most of them, are trying to aid in your evolution in particularly on a universal level. Okay? Then there is a smaller percentage that is negatively polarized. Now, it depends on how you view these entities or what your own evolutionary configuration is, or we could say your own evolutionary polarity is. Depending on if you're a positively polarized being, then the negatively polarized alien entities may very well give you pushback in regards to your evolutionary progress. They may try to inherently and intentionally interfere with your basically reaching the source through the path of unity, so to speak. Long story short, to keep it simple, these beings, these negatively polarized entities, will make it harder for you to evolve if you're a light worker, if you're a love and light worker, if you're someone who's positively polarized, okay? And this is actually one of the reasons why we see so many delusional and psychopathic light workers and that exist in our today's time that are just so consumed about the chakras and they have no idea what they're really talking about and they're just delusional, okay? And one of the reasons why that may be and why I'm sure that is because of these negatively polarized alien entities that very well are influencing the thoughts and the behaviors of these positively polarized light workers on our planets. So once again, just to make sure there's that context, in regards to the universe, there are actually more positively oriented aliens that would want to universally serve your evolution. Then there's a lesser group that is the negatively polarized that gives a hard time to the light workers. But if you're somebody who is a real black magician, or if you're somebody who is negatively polarized on this planet, then these negatively polarized alien entities actually serve you. They give you information, they give you advice, they give you awareness, they give you philosophy on how to further negatively polarize and step into your own personal power. So it's all dependent on how you view them. It's all dependent on how you work with them and how you understand them. Okay? Now, this specific star system in particularly is going to be the star system of the Orion. Okay, they're going to be known as the Orion Group. Now, a lot of this information is mentioned in a lot more depth within the book called The Law of One, or also known as The Raw Material. They discuss this in very much depth. I'm not going to really go into the breakdown of what the book represents and what the book means because I've done that in other videos. You can study my YouTube channel to learn a little bit more information about that. But long story short, there is a star system that is known as the Orion star system. And if you do your own research, you'll figure it out. You know, even within the light working community, the spiritual community for the most part, which is mostly light workers, there is a grouping of light workers that believe they are Orion star seeds. Okay, but what they don't know about that is that the Orion star system is compacted with negatively polarized, negatively oriented entities that are aliens, essentially, to us, the way that we can perceive them. And the truth is that the Orion's group, the Orion star system, is a star system that is, you could think of it, if you're someone who's ever watched Star Wars, or if you're someone who's ever watched Harry Potter, it would be the equivalent to the dark side of the Force, okay, the Slytherin compared to the Empire, okay? That would be the Orion star system, okay? So once again, you have a bunch of light workers that think that they're Orion star seeds, but in reality, they would have no idea. If they actually were an Orion star seed, which would mean they were a wanderer, somebody who existed in the Orion star system within a specific density, density that was farther up, whether it's 4th density, 5th density, 6th density, and then decides to come back into a 3rd density planetary sphere, which is our planetary sphere, newly 4th density, then that would be considered a wanderer, okay? And if these star seeds, these wanderers that are light workers, were actually from the Orion star system, they would not be talking about star seeds, okay? They would probably be teaching things that I teach right now, okay, on my public YouTube channel and on my Patreon, teaching psychic warfare, black magic initiation, invocations, how to take power from entities, archetypes, things of that nature. Okay, the technologies and sciences of Universe.B vampires. If they were really a negatively oriented being, then these are the types of things that they would teach. Therefore, the Orion Starseed community is just, once again, delusional in their foundation. Okay, but once again, as I'm saying, the Orion's Belt was mentioned within this book, The Law of One, in very much depth and was pretty much used throughout the entirety of the book to display the negatively polarized beings that exist here on our planet, but mostly within that star system as alien entities existing in other densities from the 4th, 5th to 6th, and even up to the 7th. I mean, but mainly it focuses on the 4th, 5th, and 6th. And so that shows very clearly, in accordance with that book, that there definitely is some sort of correspondence to our planet and alien entities that potentially may not have the best interest for every single person on this planet, coming from a conquer and divide perspective, being the entities, the alien entities that reside within the star system of the Orion, the Orion star system itself. Okay, so if you want to do some more research, you can. You can look into the Orion star system and see all the different constellations that are within there. But you could literally think of it as a completely different galaxy. It's its own solar system, so to speak, in that star system. Okay, they have their own planets with their own planetary entities, similar to like how we have our own planet Earth. Then surrounding us, we have other planets. They have the same thing going over there, and there is life on other planets. Not all other planets need to be completely physical in regards to the life that lives on them. Okay, so as you move into the 4th, 5th, 6th density and up, the physical appearance, the physical body starts to become transparent. It starts to turn more so into a light body. So that means that if we, as the 3rd density beings we are on this planet, were to observe, let's say, a 5th density planet, we wouldn't even see the beings on that planet because they're a different energetic nature. Okay, their bodies are made from a different energetic material, so to speak. Okay, so once again, I find this very interesting. I find it very interesting, and I'm always somebody, trust me, I'm always somebody who questions what I'm learning. Okay, always. So when I read this book myself, The Law of One, and they start discussing the Orion Group, and they start discussing how these are the entities that have some of the biggest impact on our planet today in regards to the negative polarity, I always question that. I'm not going to take it right when I hear it as, oh, this is for sure true. This is what it is because, the book is telling me this is true. I'm always going to take the information. I'm going to absorb it as much as I can. I'm going to sit with it, and I'm going to let my reality and my previous experiences in regards to my own life experience prove to me that information is true. So hear me out. This is very interesting. So I did some research on the Orion star system, and you can do your own research too, but it is known traditionally as being the star system of the hunter. And the reason why it's known as being the star system of the hunter is because if you actually look at it, it almost looks like someone who has a bow and they're pulling back an arrow, basically. Someone's holding a bow. So it literally looks like a hunter. And that right there was very intriguing to me. Very, very interesting and intriguing to me because I have my own grimoire that I've been using for about 5 years now. And I've been documenting intuitive information within this grimoire. Well, my grimoire is actually completely full. There's no more space to write, but this is about literally 4 years ago that I've documented some specific information within my grimoire, and it had to do with basically worshiping the hunter. Okay, it had a energetic correspondence to venerating the power of the hunter in correspondence to myself. So I literally, intuitively, when I was creating, you could literally say in this invocation, which it is an invocation, I created my own invocation having to do with the hunter. I don't know why I chose that word. Okay, the invocation is only 2 pages long, and one of the words within that invocation specifically says, basically, it's a form of worship of the hunter, but worshiping myself as the hunter. Okay, so hail the hunter, hail the hunter, hail the hunter, and then I am the hunter, I am the hunter. But the point is I use that specific word of the hunter. And at that time when I wrote this invocation, which was around 4 years ago, I had no idea of the book called The Law of One. I had no idea about the Orion star system. I'm honestly not even that studied when it comes to other star systems that exist in the universe itself. And I had no idea about it, but I chose that word in particularly. I chose a couple words. I used the word vampire. I used the word hunter. I used the word, let's see, vampire, hunter. I think that was basically it. It was like warrior, vampire, and hunter were the 3 primary words that I was using within this invocation, basically worshiping the idea or the archetype of these things, but also worshiping it as a part of myself. And now, 4 years later, I'm coming across this information of the Orion star system, and that these groups of beings being more so negatively polarized. And here I am, a black magician, a real black magician, somebody who's fully initiated into the entirety of the Qliphothic tree, which is one of the most prominent ways that you can understand the knowledge, wisdom, and power of the negative polarity. Here I am, somebody who's initiated through this tree, and now I'm coming across this information, as I said, of the Orion star system, and then I'm looking back at my grimoire, and I'm seeing these correspondences line up. I'm seeing the correspondence between the Orion star system, being known as the Hunter star system, and then in my grimoire, which is a very powerful invocation that I have that I've said and I continue to use time and time again. It's actually the invocation of my own higher self, and it has that one specific word, which is the hunter. Okay, so I'm seeing the correspondence, and that is making it very clear to me that what's being mentioned in the book, The Law of One, is not something that is just randomly being mentioned. It's not something that you should take for granted, so to speak. And I'm also able to tune in, since I'm a psychic, I can tune into my intuition, and I can understand that that information that is being shared within the book, The Law of One, is very authentic and it is very accurate information. Maybe not everything in the entire book is things that I personally resonate with or agree with, and that's for sure. But there are a lot of things that I do agree with and I do resonate with. And that was one way that I was able to really align my own personal experience with what was being mentioned in regards to the book and the star system of the Orion. Okay. Now, once again, this is very interesting because now those of you that are listening to this YouTube video, you now have a perspective of what other potential life is out there that is actually pretty close to us, that we can actually see as a star system from this planet, if you use the right technology, that is containing some of the most negatively polarized groupings of entities. So what this basically means is that the Orion star system is a star system that very well likely could have been the alien entities that have passed down the knowledge of the Qliphoth, of the darker side of the Tree of Life, of the darker side of the Kabbalah to this planet, and is also capable of being the entities that have created the social memory complexes that we know within Qliphothic initiation. Okay, so this gets deep. So when it comes to entities like Satan, Moloch, Adrammelech, Baal, you could even go as far as saying Lucifer, Lilith, all of these different entities, you name them, could have their roots as being social memory complexes, which is a grouping of entities on a planetary sphere that share the same mind, that then communicates to a different planetary sphere through a form, which would be the form of Lucifer, uh, Moloch, Satan, etc., and influence our planetary sphere or further communicates. Okay, so basically what I'm saying is, rather than this Orion star system getting into their crafts and then traveling over to our planets in our density, having to, if they're really going to manifest here and come into our inner astral planes, then they would have to change their light bodies, so to speak, their transparent being. They would have to change it into more so of a materialized appearance. That is something that comes with coming down physically to this planetary sphere. So if they were going to do that, then once again, they would have to take on a different appearance to a certain degree, so to speak. And there are a lot of cosmic laws that are in place that also prevent these negative aliens from coming down to our planet. So what would make a lot more sense, and what is true, is that they create, just as the other side does, just as the positive polarity beings in the universe, they create these social memory complexes to come through into our planetary sphere in the form of spirits, in the form of what we would call gods, in the form of what we call entities. And we communicate to these entities, once again, like Lilith, like Lucifer, like Satan, like Moloch, Baal, Lucifuge, Beelzebub. We communicate with these entities, but what we're actually communicating with is an entire alien civilization that is forming the social memory complex of what that entity is, or of what that god is. Okay? And there, through that communication, we are being passed down the teachings, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the understandings with the technology and the philosophies of the negative polarized path, the real black magician's path, so to speak. Okay? So this is very intriguing. This is very deep information. This is information that a lot of people do not understand. Obviously, if there are psychics within this video that are listening to this now, you obviously can do your own experimentation if you want. Okay, you can see if this information that I'm sharing is true and honest. And I'm telling you, it is. But once again, you can see for yourself and try invoking the Orion star system, or try invoking the Orion entities and try to establish some communication. And you should very well see that they truly are negative polarized beings. And once again, I would only recommend you invoke these beings if you're someone who's on the negative polarized path, if you're someone who's a real black magician, because if you're not, this is not going to serve you. But, regardless, you're going to do what you're going to do. But yeah, so I find that to be very fascinating. I find that to be very interesting. Okay. And once again, you can get very creative with what you're invoking now with this extra knowledge. I mean, honestly, if the source of a lot of these entities that we know on our planet today that are associated with the darker evolutionary sciences, like the ones that I mentioned earlier, if the source of a lot of these entities are coming from that star system, then obviously the more you know about the source, which is the Orion star system, the more potential power you can cultivate for yourself, essentially. Okay? Now, once again, for those of you that are listening that are confused and that are thinking, why in the fuck would I want to communicate with a group of entities, a group of aliens that are negatively polarized? Why would I want to do that? That sounds evil to me. I don't like that. See, when I watched Star Wars, I gravitated more so towards the, the Federation, or I think that's what the Republic. That's what it was, the Republic. I gravitated more so towards the Republic. I wasn't on the Empire side, okay? Well, guess what? That is what it is, okay? I understand that. So if that's the case, then obviously this information may serve you in whatever way it does just by having the awareness. But there is no good and evil. There is no true good and evil between the two sides, between the positive and the negative side. They both need to exist. There are individuals like myself who are gravitated on a soul level more so towards the negative polarity. Now, there needs to be negative polarity in contrast to the positive polarity. This is the only way that proper evolution can take place. Okay, so there's no right and wrong. There's no good and evil. Whatever side you choose is your evolutionary path. Ultimately, we're all, whatever side you're on, we're all headed in the same direction of getting to the source. Okay. Once again, the name of the book was called The Law of One, the one source. We're all on this path. And the difference between choosing a path is how you're going to express your beingness as you're headed to the source itself. Okay? So, once again, if you're someone who is already gravitated more so towards the darker evolutionary occult sciences, having to do with all these negatively polarized entities that are traditionally known, like Lilith, to be vampiric in nature and to be destructive in nature, then your best interest is to recognize what you're gravitating more so towards on a soul level and then go head first into that. Embrace it fully. Okay, don't have one foot in and one foot out and then run back and forth between the positive and the negative polarity, because you're not going to make much progress like that. Okay, from an evolutionary perspective, from a progression point of view. So if you're, once again, if you're on the negative polarized path, there is a lot of value. There's a lot of power. There's protection. There's freedom, satisfaction, teachings, learnings that come from the negative polarity. Okay? There's a lot of value we can gain, and there's a lot of value we do gain. Okay? 100%. But once again, if you're someone who is on the positive polarized path and you're trying to communicate with negative entities, then those negative entities are going to try to either convert you to the negative path, or they're going to try to confuse your awareness of the true positive polarity. Okay, it would be very similar to the concept of Yahweh, which in its true nature was a positive entity, but then we could say, then became perverted, and then all these laws and these commandments were added to this entity, which were negative in nature, but had that underlying positive intention. So basically it was, you should not do this. If you do this, this is a sin. If you do this, then you are wrong. You cannot do this. See, this type of perspective and this type of commandment is a negative commandment, because you're inhibiting someone's free will by telling them they have to follow a specific rule. See, the intention might be good. Look, you should not do drugs because that is a sin. Do not do drugs. That's a sin. Although that's good intentioned, truly, that is infringing on someone's free will by telling them they should not do that. The true positive path would give an individual a choice of what they're going to do. You would share what the results of that path may lead to, but then ultimately you allow the individual to make the choice that they're going to make without attachment to what they're going to do, but hoping that they make the right decision. Okay, so this is the difference. So the negative polarity can affect the positive polarity in an unbeneficial way. But once again, if you're someone who's already negatively polarized, if you're a real black magician, you don't really have to worry about that. Okay, all you have to worry about is going through the initiations, going through the alchemy to step into your most powerful version of yourself. See, one of the reasons why there are a lot of failed occultists on the left-hand path, or I should more so say on the real black magician's path, is because a lot of them are positive in their nature, yet they're pursuing a negatively polarized pathway. So they're literally torn on a soul level, and they don't understand why they're actually in the negative polarized path. They don't know that maybe on an aesthetic level, they gravitate towards that edgy and that dark look. But on a soul level, they truly are trying to service others without anything really in need for return. And they just want to see the best for everyone around them. And they just want to teach unity. But once again, when we're talking about the real negative polarized path, this is a path where someone is building an empire. This is a path where someone uses the principles of duality, where they're aware of the bigger truth of the source, everything being connected, but they actively operate through the lens of duality, essentially separating the powerful from the weak, the people who have experience from the people who do not have experience. They separate the positive from the negative. And when I say separate the positive from the negative, I just mean from that sense, as a real black magician, when I view someone that's actually on the positive polarized path, there's a respect I have for that because I understand what path they're on. And if they're doing it properly, I can't do anything to them. I have nothing to do. Okay, maybe my energy will challenge them to a degree, but if they're truly on the positive path, they'll use the challenge and further evolve. And I truly have respect for it. But it's mainly the people that are in between, or the people that are trying to be polarized positively, but they don't fully understand it, yet they're polarizing negatively because they're already, the human species in general is slightly slanted towards the negative polarity because of the ego, okay? And the negative polarity doing with service to self. So with that being said, there's the majority of the individuals that exist today are in the between. And then once again, you have the people that are trying to be positive, but they're actually doing it in a negative polarized way. See, it's these individuals that once again, as a real black magician, I see, and it's easy to separate. It's easy to use the principle of duality and say, you are not where you think you are. And it's easy to use destructive energies on these individuals and break them down and then take their energy and use it to my benefits. Use it, however I need to use it. And, maybe the person will use the destructive energy and further evolve from it and recognize that, yeah, maybe they were not pursuing the proper route for their evolution. Or maybe it just completely obliterates them and it just destroys them. And then they stay stagnant for the rest of their life. I don't know. And truly, I don't really care. Okay. And this is actually, like, as I've mentioned in other videos, this is the true nature of the real black magician's path. This is the true nature of the negatively polarized path. It's servicing yourself as the source, and I teach others how to do the same thing. So I offer huge amounts of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and value to other individuals who are truly on this path of evolution. That's why a lot of you are listening to my content. My content is very different than a lot of other people's content on YouTube. And a large portion of that is because I understand what my soul is and where my soul is headed. And I have the ability to openly express that without any sort of fear of if I'm going to be judged. Okay, I'm so negatively polarized, and I've been this way for a while, where I don't care about your judgments. Okay, once again, if you're a hater, you're a generator. If you're a hater to what I do or what I think, that's okay. That just means you're in the middle place. You don't understand where you are. You don't understand who you're becoming. So that means you're a generator. And I can just use all that hate. I can use that energy, take it from you, leave you drained, and then destroy you simultaneously, okay, with destructive energies, psychic warfare, mind warfare, however it has to manifest. But once again, long story short, this is the true nature of this negatively polarized path. And if you're walking this path, you are going to get value from other negatively polarized entities, whether it's in the physical form when you meet another person who is, or if it's extraterrestrial in nature, if it's coming from a different negative star system like the Orion belt or the Orion star system in general. Okay, there's a philosophy to the negative path, just like there's a philosophy to the positive path. And once again, the higher densities of both paths realize they all come together at the end. They all come together in the very end. And the higher densities of both of these paths recognize we're playing our roles. We're playing our evolutionary roles. We're playing the characters that we need to be to further everything's evolution for the benefit of everything, the benefit of the species, the materials on the planet, whatever planet you're on, the evolutionary cycles, everything gets benefited. But you only really get benefited in the most valuable way when you actually understand what path you're on. So taking it full circle, the reason why there's so many black magicians who are not real black magicians, but say they're black magicians, and a lot of the big reason why there's a lot of them that are failed and don't really have a life to show for anything, and just, seem psychotic in nature. They seem just very dark. They seem depressed. They seem like they just don't have the enthusiasm. They don't have the energy. It's almost as if they're lacking purpose. And the reason why there's a lot of those types of occultists and a lot of those types of individuals is because that's exactly it. They are lacking purpose. They're lacking the awareness of why they're actually trying to become a real black magician. They're not fully coming to terms with what this path requires and what this path represents. All these things that I've shared in this video are the truth. This is real, okay? This is why this path is least walked. Most individuals do not have what it takes to really become a real black magician, okay? Most individuals don't truly have what it takes to become a successful initiate of the clip-off, okay? Think about it. You think about the people that control the planet today and all the inversions they put into the multiverse. Well, guess what? These are negatively oriented, polarized individuals. Do you think you could do that in your lifetime? Do you think you could be one of those people? Now, remember, you've heard a lot of conspiracy theories throughout your life. You've heard a lot of programming coming from people who don't actually know the deeper truths of what's happening. So maybe there's a deeper evolutionary reason as to why the multiverse is structured in such an inverted way. And maybe that reason is a reason you don't fully understand yet, but the mysteries reside within the true negative polarized path. Okay, see, these are the mysteries that I've been able to obtain, and I'm still starting to uncover in more depth as time goes on. And they're mind-blowing, mind-bending mysteries. Okay, there are things that I know and that I understand that I will never verbalize because there aren't even words to verbalize it, only silence. Okay, but I do share, to the best of my ability through communication, a lot of the secrets, a lot of the perspectives, a lot of the understandings and awarenesses that I feel like serves individuals who are truly trying to become real black magicians and things in that nature. But once again, this is just to explain to you, this is the reason why there are so many people that are stuck, that are not successful as black magicians. They don't truly understand this path. They don't understand this path is a path of building an empire, a path of stepping into your own personal power and using destructive energies to increase your empire by spreading the catalyst to the human species, letting that be their opportunity for evolution. And once again, on this path, there's a lot of challenge that you have to go through. Obviously, to step into this level of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and power, there is a lot of initiation you have to experience yourself as the black magician. You have to go through and go to those places within the underworld, which are considered the negatively polarized locations of our multiverse on this planet. You have to go there. You have to experience them. You have to transmute them. You have to let them transform you. You have to absorb them, become them, until you become the beast, okay? Until you become the negatively polarized version of yourself and you recognize what you're doing to some level, whether it's a purely intuitive level or if it's also a conscious level, like what I'm communicating here. It's very rare that you're going to come across somebody like myself who is conscious of which path they're actually on, specifically when it comes to the negative polarized path, okay? And I'm, at the end of the day, I'm thankful that I have the ability to communicate this message and that I am conscious of the path that I'm on so that I can further polarize to increase my evolutionary progress, okay? But once again, when it comes to these Orion star systems and any other star systems that are out there, which there are many, that are negatively polarized, when you're a real black magician, these star systems, these alien extraterrestrial entities serve you. They give you knowledge, they give you wisdom, they give you understanding, they give you power, okay? This is what happens. This is why light workers stay away from Lilith. This is why light workers stay away from Lucifer most of the time. This is why light workers stay away from Satan, okay? It's because they're not trying to negatively polarize, and it makes sense. I would too. If I was a positive being, I would stay away from negative entities, negative social memory complexes, okay? But when you're a black magician, these are the entities that teach you the philosophy of this path, teach you the philosophy of the empire, the Slytherin path, the other side, the other path, the path least walked. Once again, the path that's shown in most movies as being the path that you don't want to go down, right? But who do you think, being the producers of these movies that are intelligent using Kabbalistic programming, who do you think these people are trying to program you in regards to which path you should follow? So what I mean is that if I'm truly a negative polarized being, and I am on the path of service to self, and I teach the philosophies of service to self, serving everyone that listens, but I'm also increasing my own power and building an empire at the same time. If I was to create a movie that I knew had influence on the world around me, guess what? I would try to polarize them positively too within the movie. Why is that? Because the positive polarized path is the path of service to others. So the more I can get other people in the environment or the planetary sphere to be in the mindset of service to others, but also being unaware just because of the confusion within the multiverse, but just being more so wanting to serve others because of moralistic programming, if I can set that in the multiverse and I can cause that to be a real thing, then guess what? The majority of the human species, through their moralistic programming that comes through the form of movies, Hollywood movies like Star Wars or like Harry Potter, they're going to be more likely to serve me, who is on the path of service to self, because these other individuals are service to others. So therefore, they can serve me, and that serves their evolution, and I continue to build my empire. I continue to polarize in the negative way that I polarize. Okay, so this is just giving you some perspectives and some deeper level awarenesses on what's taking place in the real world today. This is what's happening. I could care less if you agree with it, if you disagree with it. As I've said many times on my channel, that's not my place, okay? Whether you understand what I'm saying or not is not up to me. It doesn't matter to me, okay? But there are individuals that are understanding it, and there are other individuals who will not understand it, and I'm aware of it. And this is what's happening, regardless, okay? This is what is taking place. It is the negative polarized beings on this planet that control this planet on an energetic level in regards to control the way the multiverse functions on this planet, control the economy, control thought forms that go into the environment, you know, once again, through the news, through all the different forms of programming. It's controlled by real black magicians. That's the point that I'm trying to make. And this actually will not take place forever. As I've discussed in other videos, this planet has recently shifted into a fourth density positive planet. Not very positive, but slightly positive, which means it'll be many more years in the future until there are no more black magicians on this planet. But that day actually will come, and the time, you know, will come when the time is right. Once again, I've discussed this in a different YouTube video that I've made. But long story short, this is what it is. There are extraterrestrial beings that exist that are negatively polarized. If you're a negatively polarized being yourself, they serve you. They give you information. They give you knowledge, wisdom, understanding, power, and they teach you the technologies and the philosophies that you need to know. If you're positively polarized, or if you're in between, you are more likely to be affected in an unbeneficial way, a way that is an enslavement type of way, a way that confuses you intentionally, a way that tries to change your direction, shifting you from positive to negative, all these different distortions, so to speak. And this is the point of this YouTube video, specifically giving you a little bit of an awareness of one of these star systems, which is extremely prominent on our planet. I highly recommend any of you listening to this to do a little bit more research on what I'm talking about. Look into the star system of the Orion. Even I'll share one last experience. Even the girl that I'm with now, my Scarlet Woman, when I met her, this was back in 2021, the beginning of 2021. When I first met her, this is before I knew about this information. This is before I read the book, The Law of One. She would always tell me, and she would point to the sky. There would be these 3 stars right in the sky in alignment. And she would say, those are the stars that always guide me. She says, those are my, she would call them her guardian angels. And at the time, I didn't know as I said, I didn't know about really star systems and things of that nature. I did know that there was obviously some significance to that, but I didn't fully understand it. Okay, but I always kept that in my memory bank because that was profound and very occult in nature. And when those things manifest, I always remember them for some reason. So I remember that 3-star system she was talking about, and I looked it up to see what that 3-star system was. This is literally basically 2 years ago. And I saw that it was the Orion's belt. Okay, it was the belt on the Orion star constellation. And now, fast forwarding 2 years later, I have the information I have, I know what I know, and I can clearly see that me and my girlfriend, my Scarlet Woman, one of the reasons why we've connected is obviously not only because it's, in alignment with my soul's evolution and her soul's evolution, but more so there's an influence between the Orion entities, the negative polarized entities, and how they aided in getting us to communicate with each other. Because once again, I'm a real black magician. I'm someone who's initiated through the entirety of the clip-off, and the end stage of the clip-off is to raise the bride, specifically raising the Scarlet Woman to manifest the apocalypse. Okay, now obviously the apocalypse is something that I'm actually going to make a whole different video on. Very important video, very interesting video, but the apocalypse is definitely something that is going to be influenced by this star system, okay, the Orion's belt. So that was another correspondence that I also saw between my own personal life and this star system. But once again, do your own research, see if you have your own experiences, and potentially experiment with it, okay? I know there's going to be some experimentation that I'm going to do on my end, and that I eventually will make public. But we'll save that for another time in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to wrap up the video. I appreciate all of you very much. Make sure if you enjoyed it, you hit the thumbs up button. Okay. Also come down here and hit the notification bell because I post videos as often as I can. And with content like this, you absolutely do not want to be missing out. I mean, truly, who do you know that is sharing information like this, especially if it's in alignment with your soul's evolutionary journeying, okay? Especially if it's in alignment with the negative polarized path. You don't, I swear and everything, you probably know this by now, you do not come across a lot of people that share these types of secrets, or this type of perspective, okay? Because most people don't have it, okay? Then, as you come down here, go down there, click the subscribe button, okay? Because if you subscribe, you can further link into the contents, okay? There literally is an energetic component to it. So when you subscribe, you're further linking in, which means you're getting more bang for your buck, okay? So if you want to do that, subscribe. If not, forget about it. Miss out, okay? The next thing that I want to say is you have my full permission to copy and paste this link and send it out to anybody, family, friends, social media platforms, you name it, you have my full permission. My intention is to spread this content like a wildfire and to increase my empire in the process. And that's exactly what has been taking place, okay? The next thing that I want to say is if you come down here and you click that little drop down description and you scroll down, you're eventually going to come across a post that says private Facebook community, okay? Right underneath that, there's a link. Click that link, follow where the link takes you. This is where you can request to join within a private Facebook community that has over 460 members that are posting on a daily basis, and there is tons and tons and tons of valuable information that is within that private Facebook community. I'm telling you, okay? If you want to take advantage of it, you know where to go, Okay, next thing, come down here and add me on Instagram, JER_477. Super easy to type in. Check me out on social media platforms. Okay, now this is the most important link that I need to take your awareness to. This is the first link in the YouTube description. You click that little arrow drop down, first link, you can't miss it. This is where you can join my Patreon. Okay, on my Patreon, I have an entire vault of exclusive occult content where none of it is on my public YouTube channel. And that is for many different reasons. Okay, I have videos that are in the form of live streams with tons of valuable information, in the form of blog posts, and in the form of videos that are similar to this, except all of these different forms of content are more advanced and more personal. Okay. Then as you move into tier 3 and up, you're gaining access to an entire magic training course, which I feel like and think would be extremely valuable, especially if you're someone who is a beginner occultist looking for a structured format to follow to start developing your psychic capabilities. Okay, that would be for tier 3 and up for the course. Then as you move into tier 4, this is the most popular tier on the Patreon, which says a lot about this tier. This is what I call the Universe.B Vampire Service. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that on the 29th of every single month that has a 29th, I perform an advanced occult ritual to transform the energetic structures and the fields of the individuals who receive the service from me to be more so Universe.B dominant. Essentially what that means is to be more so negatively polarized, okay? And I initiate that transformation. Now, what does that mean? This means that you have the ability to exist within the darker areas and locations within the multiverse today without being harmed by them. Just like I was discussing, when you're a real black magician, you don't get harmed or affected the same way by negative entities as someone who's in between or someone who is positively polarized. Okay, so you don't get harmed, rather you develop knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and power from them instead. Okay, now also this naturally starts to give you an ability to be more so receptive to your own unconscious and subconscious mind, which is feminine in nature, very healing in nature. And it also gives you the ability to pull in dark energy and chaos in your environment to then transmute it into your own power and evolutionary potential. Okay, once again, there's a reason why this is the most popular tier on my Patreon. If you want to take advantage of it, you know what to do. First link at the very top of the YouTube description, tier 4. We're going to leave it there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, specifically, I would like to give a shout out to all the Patreon members. Huge shout out to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, specifically for taking your knowledge, your practices, and your understandings to that other side. Huge shout out. Okay, now the second link in the YouTube description, second link below, you can't miss it. This is where you can book your own personalized tarot card reading. Okay, this is a very unique tarot card reading because I can literally pinpoint exactly where you are on the Kabbalistic tree. I can tell you what you're feeling, experiencing, and going through in the present moment, and then tell you what to expect as you move into your near and your long-term future based on your placements on that Kabbalistic tree. Okay, I've done well over 550 readings. I'm about to do a reading right after this. I do a reading every single day pretty much. I get tons of valuable feedback. If this is something you want to take advantage of, you know what to do. Second link below. Okay. Now, as you go into the third link, this is where you can become a YouTube member. Okay. As you become a YouTube member, you're gaining access to many benefits. The most important benefit is you gain access to the Psychic Warfare Emoji Program, which means right when you become a YouTube member, you gain access to a sequence of emojis that I've designed myself that are based on occult principles that you can use in a specific configuration. You can link in the name of a target of your choice, hit enter, and it will actually cause psychic damage to that target. This is the most simple form of utilizing psychic warfare through the metaverse, which then manifests into the multiverse. Okay? There are well over 1,000 posts where individuals have taken and are taking advantage of this service right now. There are individuals in this moment that are using it. Okay? If this is something you're interested in and ultimately joining within the YouTube community, then you know what to do. Click the third link, become a YouTube member. We'll leave it there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last link. This is the fourth link in the YouTube description. This is where you can purchase your EMF incense sticks, electromagnetic frequency incense sticks. These are incense sticks that are created by myself. They are not your traditional incense sticks. I put an occult formula within the incense sticks myself based on their scents that helps to give further access to the 11th sphere on the Kabbalistic tree, which means they create 100% manifestation, also 100% transference of energy. Okay. Now, also at a liquid base, I put in 11 drops of real monatomic gold that goes into the scents. This is what gives them their EMF properties and is completely unique to anything. I don't know anyone else doing this. And then at that same liquid base that they soak in for over 24 hours, there are real quartz crystals and real citrine crystals that are charging them. Okay. Then on top of that, the scents smell absolutely amazing because there is real essential oil that goes into it. And that's it. If you want to take advantage of getting these EMF incense sticks and trying them out for yourself, there's already tons of amazing feedback of individuals who have received their sticks. And you know what to do. Fourth link below, place your order. The sooner you place the order, the sooner I can have it shipped out to you. Okay? Other than that, this is going to wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate all of you. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day or night, wherever you are. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.